Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining us. At USA Global TV and Radio, we are wonderfully excited to provide you with world-class education, entertainment, news, hope, and inspiration. Our show today is UK News and Culture, episode 133. It's hard to believe, and it's all due to you guys. Thank you so much. Dr. Jacalyn, the host of the show, is out on business, but she'll be back with us next week. Let's welcome our first team member, the incredibly talented royal photographer, co-host of the Royally Rich Lifestyle, co-host for the Royal Breaking News from London. She's a royal expert and the woman in the know, HELENA CHARD.
Oh, thank you so much, Diane. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, as you say. I'm so thrilled to be with you today and delivering some royal news and various things. Thank you.
It's always such a pleasure to see you. You're such a bright, shining star, and you are the woman in the know. You work so hard for all the people. If you didn't catch everything she does, make sure you hit the replay, because I'm exhausted just thinking about everything you do. It's truly amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm sure we all work very hard, and I love what I do, and I think that's the key, isn't it? It's really always good to share things.
It is good to share things, and I know you're going to share a lot with us. So when I say us, that means we need to bring out our other team member, our Scottish team member, the fabulous chef, author, speaker, sailor, and so much more, who will be sharing with us the UK updates along with HELENA and some Scottish history, and maybe, if he has time, some Scottish news, because I know things are happening over there. So please welcome Simon Macdonald.
Hello, everybody. It's nice to be back. Nice to see you again, Helena.
Good to see everybody.
You have a little tan there. I'm insanely jealous.
I've been jetting around the world and now back and racing and doing shows. But thank you. It's so good to see everybody. Had a good little break.
We've got summer here in Scotland this week as well. It's a glorious day, but I've just got so much work to do. I haven't had much chance to be outside, unfortunately. Tomorrow, with a bit of luck, yes.
But that's what fall is like. Everything kind of slows down. I like how, HELENA, you say it's a silly time of season. Correct me if I said it wrong.
Silly season, yeah.
Yeah, silly season, yeah. I just love that. And then all of a sudden, September, bam, and before we know it, it is February.
I know. I do feel that just time flies. I don't know how you guys feel, but when I was younger, I had this teacher, a science teacher, and she said, "Oh, you should make the most of everything before you know it." And I do think I'm young still. We are all young, but time just flies. Yeah, we just have to be so thankful, I think.
Every single day we get to open our eyes, for sure. But don't you remember when you were a little kid, didn't y'all feel this way that, Christmas Day is over and you're like, I have to wait 365 more days for Christmas. That's like an eternity. And then now you're like, where did the year go?
It just seems like yesterday was Christmas, and here we are. I mean, now the shops here are actually, and the supermarkets in particular, is full of Christmas stuff. And I thought, not again.
Crazy, right?
No.
Yeah.
It's so sad. I want to celebrate every season. That's, I think, one of the things I miss about, I mean, it's great that we get food from all over the world. Don't misunderstand me, but I do miss walking into the supermarket and it's like, oh my gosh, it's time for all the apples and the oranges, because we're coming from all different places in your own country and you don't get them until it's the right season. So I kind of miss that. Something beautiful about it, I think.
Yes, I think it's coming up the time, of course, in America where all the turkeys go into hiding because you've got Thanksgiving followed very rapidly by Christmas Day, but just for the ones that manage to get away,
Yeah, it is crazy, isn't it? Well, we could chat all day, but I know we need to hear from Helena and all the lovely news she has to share with us. Helena, take it away.
Oh, thank you. So, gosh, it's been a funny time, a busy time. There's been lots of snippets of information, but I'm just going to share a roundup. So it's not necessarily, it's sort of over the last few weeks and now. So I will get going, and I think I'm going to start with the Princess of Wales. I am so thrilled, along with the world, hopefully, that she has returned to work. Now, we know she has to monitor her work, but she has returned to work yesterday, her first proper engagement, which is an important step since her last chemo session that we've all heard about. And it's something that's on the Royal Court Circular, so that's why it's so important, and it's been documented. So it was her early years meeting in Windsor Castle. People are so happy. Isn't that a beautiful picture? That's taken from the little snippet of video that was released. I was doing a talk as well. I think who was I on with? A different platform, and talking through this whole little video that she'd released, which I think everyone's very, very, that it's a complex, scary, unpredictable journey that she's been on. And it's, she's telling us about her cancer and telling us where she is. And I have huge admiration for her. I know people have been a little bit up and down about the video that was put out by Will War, who's a wonderful video maker. And I just think it was super. I think people are just not used to seeing them looking so glossy and maybe so tactile. But I think it was an important thing for her to release, that she's desperate to get out and working. And I think has a new frame of mind, really happy to be alive and working towards things. But we wish her all the best. Also, Duchess Sophie, who I feel is not talked about enough, she steps up all the time. She does amazing work. I don't think she's out there in the media as much as I would like her to be. She delivered a wonderful message from King Charles in Africa. Now, she's, I think, possibly flying back today. She's been in Tanzania and she's been promoting collaboration, I love that word, between the UK and African country on health and agriculture and women's empowerment. As we know, Sophie is the global ambassador, the International Agency for the Prevention of Blindness, the IAPB, something that really is close to her heart. She visited Tanzania in 2004, read out a wonderful speech last night at a dinner where King Charles expressed his gratitude for her work and for all the people on the ground helping fight tropical diseases. So, way to go, Sophie. And we need to really talk her up a lot. She's always racing abroad, and I have full of admiration. Also, can you believe it? 2 years since Queen Elizabeth, the late Queen Elizabeth II, passed. I mean, I can't believe it. It's flown by. And people have been talking about her. People have been remembering stories and talking about her cheeky little humour. But I think one thing that we've all seen that's just come out, well, not everybody, but that's why I'm showing you, it's a new sculpture that's been released. I say released, it's in Northern Ireland, and it has complete divided opinion. I think you probably can see why. Now, this is a bronze statue, and this, obviously with two corgis, this is in North Belfast by an artist, Anto Brennan, I think his name is. This is in Antrim Gardens, Castle Gardens, released last week, and it's supposed to be like a dignified, majestic pose reflecting grace and lifelong dedication to the public, and service. And the council have put it, has gave this commission to him, the artist, to put this statue to make this statue. I again, full of admiration for people that make statues like this. It's life size, it's amazing, but actually most people say it looks nothing like her. It's actually an insult really to her memory, and it actually looks more like Mrs. Doubtfire than the late Queen, and they want the Queen the council to take it down. We also have a historian, Richard Morris, who he wrote a little ditty, which is, Britain is full of bad public art that seems to have no particular reason to be where it is and gives little to its surroundings, let alone inspires or moves anyone. This is a case in point. Now, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts afterwards. I also know that the Duchess of Gloucester, Duke and Duchess of Gloucester as well, the late Queen's cousins, have been in Northern Ireland. So that's interesting. We don't normally talk about them, but they are of a certain age, and but we should keep talking because they still go out and do things for the royal family. Moving on, I will have to say I have my thoughts, as you know, about Prince Harry, who I used to love, and I always hope things will turn around. But happy 40th birthday to Prince Harry. Now, there's been lots and lots in the news about Harry and Meghan, of course. The royal family's account wished him a happy birthday, happy 40th, which is unusual. And also Kensington Palace also forwarded the message and put their own message on social media. Everyone's saying, goodness, is this an olive branch? Have they changed their minds? Is everyone getting together? I think the answer there is it would be good, and in time things I'm sure will change, but it is something the royal family do for non-working royals if it's a landmark birthday. So obviously if it ends in a 0, so happy birthday, and there's so much going on. And obviously he received his windfall, which was 7 to 8 million sterling from the late Queen Mum. So that's obviously in his account. He had a little rendezvous with his family and 2 children that he loves dearly, best thing in his life. And he's with his mates, or was with his mates, in the Montecito Mountains. So I'm sure we will hear more for next week. Moving on, I will actually just quickly, I would like to say that there is a lot of talk about Harry and the Red Aunts. Now, the Red Aunts are actually the late Princess Diana's sisters, and they do look out for Prince Harry, as they do Prince William, and Charles Spencer as well, the brother, is there, and he has been staying at Althorpe, so possibly will be in the UK a lot more. Moving on to the fabulous Ingrid Seward. Now, I wanted to sort of big her up because she is a fabulous royal expert, should I say fellow royal expert. She is the editor of Majesty Mag, which is a magazine which has been running since roughly 1983, if I'm right. And she has a new book coming out, My Mother and I. Now, this is a lovely book. Isn't that lovely? That's such a sweet picture. And there's so much in it. The thing about Ingrid used to be close friends with the royal, is close friends with the royal family, but also used to be with Princess Diana. And there's lots of tidbits. I do learn a lot from her. And there's a lot to learn as well about Prince Harry. One of the things I would say, and this is something I've always thought and assumed, and it's second child syndrome, but it's a feeling, he's always had a feeling from a very young age, and Princess Diana was very worried about him, a feeling of inadequacy with Prince William. But that's just a tidbit for the moment, but it's quite interesting how things play out. And Meghan Markle, obviously his wife, we've heard that she could be ready to take off her gloves and talk about working as a working royal. Now, there's been discussion for a long time. I'm not too sure what I feel here. I cannot believe that she will do it, because I think it will be a negative. But people are talking about her sharing a new tell-all memoir. And what I do know is that she has kept, when she was a working royal, a diary, a complete diary. She didn't have to sign an NDA, as she's told everybody, by the royal family. And she's saying that she hasn't scratched the surface. So I'm sure there is a potential to make a fortune, but I don't know how well she would bode really if she did that. But interesting that's been put out. Hollywood Reporter as well. Now, the Hollywood Reporter, as I understand it, do correct me in a moment if I'm wrong, is an industry Bible out in Hollywood, and they do a lot of research into things. And apparently Harry and Meghan have been criticised for various things along with their work ethic. Something that's just landed is Meghan is known as a dictator in heels. Now, the awkward thing here is the British tabloids, obviously, as they said, they lied about Harry and Meghan. This is something that they said. And now it seems to sort of be like transferring into the US publication. So I'm unsure. I know in the UK she was known as Duchess Difficult. And Bill Simmons from Spotify said that they were grifters. Now, you can't take this as gospel, obviously. And it could be someone within the team with an axe to grind. I'm sure time will tell. I don't know how long I've been, but I would like to share that Prince George, lovely Prince George, is following in the footsteps of Prince William. Yay! There he is. There they are. And he, obviously we know Prince William is an accomplished pilot, former RAF search and rescue pilot. And Prince George has had his first flying lesson as a pilot. And it was on the last day of his summer holiday, just before he went back to school. In Maidenhead, there is it's not very far from the Windsor home. It's something like 10 miles or something, but it also is where Prince Philip, the late Prince Philip, trained in 1952. Also, it's interesting to hear that Prince William has been paying a visit to the helicopter hub after admitting he really misses flying. So he actually pops in just on his own accord as well to see unveiling of various like Airbuses and things. It's something that's very close to his heart, and really lovely to see that Prince George is following in his footsteps. I'm going to speak about this one. I mean, I'm going to try and keep it to a minimum. It's to do with the soaring costs of the King's Guard's real fur bearskins. Now, obviously, we've got Trooping of the Colour coming up. We have the military birthday parade, and it's always so lovely to see all the guards and various things in these wonderful, huge, there we go, bearskin hats. Sometimes they collapse when it's really hot as well, because they get so hot. But there's been a lot of talk about this, about the bearskin hats. And in fact, it's going back really to the late Queen Elizabeth's time, where PETA, PETA, which is the People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, were talking about using fur in principle, not using fur. And it seems that the hats have gone up to £2,000. I mean, these hats people were wearing them. I think it was the Grenadier Guards in the 1700s, all that time ago. And now in the 19th century, that we have lots of military soldiers wearing these hats. But obviously, they've gone up in price. There's something like £2,000 per hat now, and that's gone up by 30%. But there's lots of things here. One, it's the cost. It's one bear, which I believe is a Canadian black bear, that's used to make these hats. And obviously, there is suffering involved here. What I would like to say at this moment, it's not the royal family's say so, or it's their fault, or anything like that. It's down to the MOD, the Military of Defence. And They are open to exploring faux fur, but they have to sort of pass the necessary requirements, and the requirements are, it's a certain test. There's 5 tests. Water absorption is one of them. Penetration, appearance, very important for the military processions, the drying rate, and compression. Now, as I said, they are made from bearskin, black bears in Canada, and it's I don't, what do you do? I would say it would be good to try out new faux fur and just see if it works. One thing the MOD did say is it comes from legal and licensed hunts, and it's a regulated market. They're not ordered, hunted to order, I guess that is, to make the caps. But I'd be really, really happy, I think, and I think a lot of people, if we could come up with something that would work, an alternative. I know that the Queen Camilla, has told Peter that she's not going to be buying any real fur anymore. And I think even the late Queen Elizabeth did. Whether that means they still wear the fur, they probably do, but they certainly are not going to be buying into it anymore. And in fact, I'm going to finish on one more thing, which is hugs for His Majesty the King. And I don't know if everyone saw the Black Ferns, the New Zealand's women's rugby union team. I just think, it's always good to end on a bit of love, isn't it? And beautiful. They attended a function, I think in was it Buckpal? I think it was Buckpal, and it was an unexpected group hug, and it was really lovely. They sort of went up and they said, "Oh, can we?" And they had this wonderful group hug. But it was so lovely seeing King Charles chuckling and looking really thrilled with this hug. It was a real, what do you call it? A scrum hug, I think it is. It's a scrum, isn't it, in rugby? But he's spoken at length about this healing hug and talking about how hugs do so much good for us. I'm going to end on that note. Thank you very much. I hope that's a little bit of tidbit. There's lots more news, but I hope that gives a little bit of interest of our royal family.
Oh my gosh, there's so much to talk about. I wish we had like 3 hours.
I have no idea how long that was, but I
hugs are so important. So everybody turn around and give a loved one a hug.
I know.
Yeah, the statue talking about Tanzania. I don't think that country gets enough credit. It's a lovely, beautiful country. Yay for Sophie, and yay for the Prince of Wales. We could go on and on. But Simon, before we get straight to you, I would love to know your thoughts about the statue.
Don't ask.
Okay.
There might be children watching.
Oh my goodness gracious!
I think it's awful, and it's all out of proportion. The one thing which is about right is the Duke of Edinburgh's pose. They got the pose right with that slight sort of lean forward on the head because he was a very tall man. The corgis, they look more like Rottweilers. I mean, they are enormous.
And I thought they looked big.
I presume that is meant to be the Queen that is standing in amongst the Rottweilers. No, it really doesn't do it for me. But the thought was there.
I think there's a beautiful, some time ago on this show, I talked about a wonderful sculpture outside our wonderful Royal Albert Hall. Absolutely stunning. And I know there's going to be a new sculpture as well that's near where Queen Victoria is, outside Buckpal, I think it is, in a different location. So there are some very good sculptures, but it just makes you wonder, because it goes through like a process where they have to talk about it, they commission the artist, and the artist then gives little sketches and various things. So when it comes to fruition, I would think it's the council should take advice as well, because that's going to be up for a while, and it's a bit silly, isn't it, to have something that's so imposing that looks like Mrs. Doubtfire passing off as a queen. This is not a good look.
Yes, I just have the funny feeling that there was a bit of alcohol involved in the sculpting there. It's really, no, it doesn't do it for me at all. I think it's a terrible one, that.
That's amazing. And
Oh,
I just remember one other thing you said, and then Simon, I promise we'll get straight to you. But I was just amazed that Prince George would take a flying lesson so young.
do you know, I just think it's lovely. I mean, he has
Yes.
been obsessed. He's obsessed with flying, and I remember when he did a tour, I think, with them in Australia. This is when it's been about 3, and they couldn't get him away from the aeroplane. I mean, he was crying. Didn't know what to do with him because he absolutely loved it. So he's obviously got Prince William's passion, and it's great. You know, he's lucky in a way, and he can just get his. I do you know, isn't that something you'd like to do? I don't know. Maybe you all can fly. Do you all have pilot's license? And I don't know.
Not me. You're a sailor, Simon, right?
That's it. Yes, yeah. I mean, I can fly a boat, but flying a plane, I enjoy being in a plane. But
I
Oh,
still say a Hail Mary and throw holy water when I get on the plane.
yeah. I think as I'm getting older, yeah, I'm a bit like that too. But so lovely, and it's very near. It's Waltham Airfield. I don't think I mentioned that. That's where he's been flying, and they know it very well. But it's a really lovely place.
Yeah.
So good for them, and it's a lovely family thing to do, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And he's so tall now. Did you notice in that picture how tall he is next to his daddy?
He is. He's going to be. I know if it works as the years go on, so he'll probably be something like maybe 6'8" or something,
Yeah,
which
he'll be
is
tall like
quite
his dad.
huge.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you so much, Helena, for sharing all of that. That was just so incredible.
You're more than welcome.
Your time, and you always bring such a wealth of information. So, Simon, are you ready?
I'm ready. Yes.
All right, let's head on over to Scotland.
This week I'm introducing another little piece as well, which I've been following up because I've been doing research into various other things, and these little things keep coming up. So I'm calling this one Strange But True, and I hope to run this every week because there's some amazing things. So here we go. Humans have been performing dentistry since 7000 BC, which makes dentistry one of the oldest professions. So anybody meeting a lady of the night who says that she is of the oldest profession, just ask, is she a dentist? Next, an animal's yawn is based on how large their brain is. The bigger the brain, the longer it will yawn. Right. Nebraska's official state slogan is, Nebraska, honestly, it's not for everyone. Beat that. How to attract people. Apples, peaches, and raspberries are all members of the rose family. There we are. I didn't know that one. And a strawberry is not actually a berry, but a banana is. And finally, for this week, there are more Lego miniature figures than there are people on Earth. Well, I know there's an awful lot of people who have probably the brain power of the Lego figures, and I can think exactly where they all are governing countries. So anyway, so that's a little bit amusing. So anyway, to start, this is to finish. This is part 4 of the diary of my father, who was Major James Macdonald, MC, and he wrote this around the time of the Battle of Cassino in Italy in World War II. He wrote it on every scrap of paper they could come across, and it was actually written on the battlefield. So it's really quite a moving piece. I think we've got a photograph of my father there somewhere about, which might come up. Anyway, so we will continue on, and we're on day 8. A tank miraculously arrived today with 4 gallons of water, no food, but lots of ammunition. And 4 gallons of water, it doesn't go very far amongst 2 companies. I had a good idea where the Germans were, so climbed onto the tank turret and got B Company doing a sharpish attack. I managed to direct the tank fire from up top, and reckon the Jerrys were so surprised at seeing a tank up there, they forgot to fight. Anyhow, we bashed through them and captured the next height. I got blown off the top of the tank twice by mortar and shell blast, but apart from being a bit deaf, no damage except for thorns out of a bush I fell into. That was uncomfortable. Day 9. Counter-attack 3 times in 6 hours. Jerry must want this place badly. Praise be, up came 3 Churchill tanks and 3 Sherman tanks, and a food party. Gosh, did we eat, or did we? I feel happier now the tanks are here. Hung on amidst the worst shelling I've experienced. Day 10, still hanging on. Casualties are extremely heavy. Horrible wounds from shelling. I think I'm more afraid of shelling than anything else in the world. Day 11, 2nd Kings moved through on our right and the Germans pulled out. Peace, perfect peace. We went forward and looked at Jerry positions. Dead were unbelievable. He took a terrific hammering. About 300 slit trenches, so he must have been stronger than us by about 150 people. Quite pleased with life just now. We can see Florence about 15 miles away in the valley. I pulled out a line for a 2-night rest and refit, and then on to Florence, we hope. We lost about a third of the company, killed, wounded, and missing. I got the Military Cross for this action, and Sergeant Meldrum a DCM, Distinguished Conduct Medal. And we've got a photograph somewhere of the citation for Captain James Macdonald, number 240442, and it reads, on the afternoon of the 29th of July 1944, Captain Macdonald of 6th Battalion, the Black Watch, RHR, was in command of A Company, one of the 2 companies who were ordered to attack Monte Tondi, known as Corbett, PT 788, for a night and half a day without food and water other than that they carried with them, and their ammunition running dangerously low. Captain Macdonald's company clung precariously to the edge of the summit, receiving many casualties from German mortar fire and from snipers who were in the thickly wooded slopes above and around them. Not for one moment did Captain Macdonald waver from his set purpose to seize and consolidate his position. The following afternoon, after receiving ammunition sent up in a Churchill tank and not waiting for food or water, he perched himself in the turret of the tank to help the tank to support his company forward. He was blown off by the blast from enemy mortar bombs. Quite undaunted, he climbed back on again and continued to guide the tank. By example of bravery, Captain Macdonald was very largely responsible for the securing of this feature, which turned out to be the key of the army defences south of Florence, the holding of which permitted the advance on the whole of the divisional front. The 3-day battle was carried out in intense heat and very difficult country, where it was well nigh impossible to get food, water, and ammunition to his men. These conditions called for the highest form of leadership, as shown by Captain Macdonald, to maintain the fighting morale of his company. It's been granted immediate Military Cross, signed H.R. Alexander, General Commander-in-Chief, Allied Central Mediterranean Force. Now, before leaving the army to take up his life as a civilian, my father had one last duty to perform. He was the officer commanding the guard of the King and Queen and the young princesses Elizabeth and Margaret at Balmoral on their summer stay. He was invited to have dinner with their Majesties one evening. After dinner, he was asked to keep the young princesses occupied before they were due to go to bed. The Princess Elizabeth, who of course became Queen Elizabeth II, suggested a game of sardines. Now, this game is something similar to hide and seek. Only one person hides and the others have to find him and her or her and remain with that person until the others find him or her, and so on. Well, as the game was a Princess Elizabeth's suggestion, she elected herself to be the one to hide. Balmoral was quite a large house, so it took some time before my father eventually found the young princess hiding in a broom cupboard just off the main hall. As the rules of the game said, he got into the dark broom cupboard with Princess Elizabeth. Her younger sister, Princess Margaret, eventually found them about 10 minutes later. Now, I remember my father musing when he recounted this escapade and wondering just how many people had ever been found hiding in a darkened broom cupboard with a future monarch. There we are. So that was part 4 of the diary of my father from his experiences in the casino. It was a dreadful battle, that, with a death toll of the Allied forces of 55,000 men. It was the largest casualty toll of any battle of World War II, and even outstripped those many of the battles of World War I as well. It was a dreadful, dreadful experience.
Wow, that's incredible. And
at least we ended in a lighter note with them.
Yes, yes, we did.
Your Queen and her sister.
That was just I'm always overwhelmed that this is such a personal account for you.
It is. I mean, it's been 4 very difficult weeks of of saying. There's some parts in that where I do feel a bit choked up about it, but immensely proud of what he did, what he achieved, and of what his men did and what his men achieved as well. I mean, they were a brave lot, every single one of them.
Absolutely. And because of them, we have a world in peace that they brought, and that's a lot to say.
Yeah,
You know?
it's just in peace. It's nearly in pieces at the moment, the way things
Yeah,
are going.
this is true. But
We've had a long period. This is the longest period in history where there hasn't been a global war as such. There's been a lot of little wars here and there, but
yes,
not an out-and-out conflict. So
yeah. Praise God for that.
yes.
Well,
So,
I want to keep talking about it, but time keeps slipping by. So, what do you have for us for on this day?
well, on this day, in the year 96 AD, Nerva is proclaimed Emperor of Rome after Domitian is assassinated. In 1793, US President George Washington lays the cornerstone of the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. 1947, the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA, officially comes into existence after being established by President Truman. Funnily enough, the original discussions for the forming of the CIA were carried out in Loch Island, which was 8 miles from where I lived, with a meeting with then General Eisenhower and Sir Winston Churchill, along with the commanding officer of the Inverloch Castle Training Centre, which is all part of covert goings on and part of the Special Operations Executive. So I covered that about a couple of months ago now. Anyway, 1968, Funny Girl, biopic movie based on the life of Fanny Brice, premieres, directed by William Wyler, starring Barbara Streisand and Omar Sharif. I had the privilege of meeting Barbara Streisand. She was in Fort William and I got an order to deliver some smoked salmon to Inverloch Castle in Fort William. We got chatting as well, and she was very keen on the fact about my sailing. And it was a Monday because we were racing that night, on the Monday night, and she was leaving to go back down to London. So her helicopter passed very low over the yachts, just right on the start line. Of course, the downdraft of the helicopter caused absolute chaos with the sails and the yachts and so on the start line. But it gave a little waggle as it went by. She was saying goodbye. Birthdays, 53 AD, Trajan, the 13th Roman emperor, who rebuilt Rome and expanded the empire, was born in Galicia, ancient Hispania. 1905, Greta Garbo, the Swedish actress, born in Stockholm, Sweden. For deaths, 96 AD, Domitian, Roman emperor, was assassinated by court officials, aged 44. So history hasn't changed. 1970, Jimi Hendrix, the American rock guitarist of Purple Haze and Voodoo Chili fame, he dies from asphyxiation, aged 27. So there we have on this day for this week.
Oh, so many things.
Lots of things.
And you're right. Some things just keep happening.
Don't they just? Yes. Oh, yes.
Absolutely. Well, in closing out the show, what great word of wisdom do you have for us today?
I've got quite a few, but I mean, I'll start off with this one. Yes. I intend to live forever. So far, so good.
Oh, my stars. You're amazing. Well, Simon, I'm going to thank you for everything that you do for the show. You're just a real star. And we can't thank you enough. And for Helena, she had to rush off to another, I'm sure, royal, incredibly news.
I think she's going out to top up her tan.
Actually, I think she's about to be on Fox News or something. So how about that?
Oh.
But anyway, Helena, thank you again for everything you brought us. We really appreciate you so much. You two guys really make this show, and we couldn't do it without you. Obviously, it's all about the UK. And hey, I'm over here in the US just soaking up the information. So thank you so much. So everybody else, please, thank you for listening today. Please stay tuned for the Anne Scotland Show, the Podcast Maestro, and the Art of Storytelling. Be sure to tune in for our new shows. I'm so excited about our new shows. Coaching with Robert J. Moore, followed by, are you ready? Get set. This is amazing. The Intentional Productivity Tips with Megan Sandwick. I wanted to make sure I said Sandwick correctly. But isn't that a great? I mean, we all could use tips on productivity. Also, we have the Royal Breaking News, which will be later on today, and the Scottish Connection with our fabulous star, Simon Macdonald. Well, please don't change the channel because obviously we have something for all of you. Wherever you are in the world, I hope your day is filled with peace and love. Bye for now. Have a blessed day.